what made you want to target Scott Perry? What do you think of Scott Perry? Why do you need to get him out? Like, what's your thought there?
So I don't know if you had followed this race, but Eugene de Pasquale was supposed to run.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, and he withdrew. And I just thought, you know what, like I had always thought about a congressional race. So why not? So I had messaged people I've spoken to over the years. I was like, do you think we could pull this off? And they were like, yeah, like do it. Like when else are you going to be able to? And then they were like, and if you don't, there's a potential that then Scott Perry runs unopposed. And they're like, we can't let that happen. So that's how I ended up running. And then it turned out again that was primary.
Yeah.
Because Rick also had the same thought, like we can't let Scott Perry go unopposed, you know. But no, I think Scott Perry is just a very dangerous politician. Have you ever seen him or met him in person?
I've never met him in person, but I do know all about the Freedom Caucus and that he chairs, and I know his election antics. I know all that.
Yeah, so that's how he's, but in person and at public events, he comes off as really approachable, accessible, reasonable. And I think like those are the people I'm more scared of than like if he is media-wise a jerk. But if he appeared as a jerk in person, then people would be more cautious about what they entrust him with, you know. But in person, he, you know, when he has his meetings with people, he comes off as like a normal, decent person. Like I've been at events where he both talked about how terrible it is to have immigrants in the US and how great it is to have immigrants in the US. And it was so smooth in that transition that people in the audience didn't really pick up on like how disjointed what he was, because what he was doing is he was answering the question in a manner most favorable to the person asking it. Right. And he did that and nobody like noticed. And I thought that's a dangerous person. That's a dangerous person. But no, we couldn't let Scott Perry run unopposed. You know, he, you know, I have to say, like since 2016, not just me and my family, but like I've spoken to other immigrant groups, we're all having like PTSD from the stuff we experienced in our countries, you know. So to see someone like purposefully wanting to have the structures that we left, like that's not the US, like that's not America. You know, like how could someone who is a veteran who fought for American values turn around, you know, and have the first non-smooth transition of power?
Yeah.
In American history.
Right.
You know, I mean, and thank God the transition did happen, but like, I know what it looks like when the transition doesn't happen, you know, like to see, you know, George Floyd just murdered, cold-blooded.
Yeah.
Just a cold-blooded murder by a police officer, and there be no accountability. Like we lived through that. Like, you know, I was telling someone, like when I was a little kid, one of my dad's close friends was murdered during the interview process because they were trying to find someone. So they just killed him during questioning. And like I said, like all of my cousins being beat up all the time by police with no accountability. That's the stuff you see in like the countries we leave. The police being able to kill someone with no accountability, that's not an American thing, you know? Like there are times where I had these like kind of moral questions about the work I do, because I would fill out asylum applications for people and I would talk about, you know, the impunity of the police force in the country they're from. And like around 2016, I started to be like, I don't know how seriously I could, like, you know, what does this mean? Like this person is escaping impunity there to then come here for impunity. Like that's not, asylum is supposed to protect the person from law enforcement impunity. You know?
Yeah.
So it was just, I think the aspirations of people like Scott Perry for the country are just really destructive of like the idea of America.